You heard you could save big when you bundle home and auto with Progressive, so you went online to check it out. But then you saw a link for a survey about which type of bread you are. And now you're on question 17, barely scratching the surface of your bread identity. You always thought of yourself as a brioche, but are you actually more of a pumpernickel? Ah, yes. They said it was easy to save money bundling with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving.
I don't want to take advice from fools.
You always won every time you placed a bet.
Money, that's what I want.
Alrighty, folks, here it is, your tailgate party. We're going to have a preview of your NFL games for tonight. Atlanta and the New York Jets, Detroit and Oakland. Brought to you, of course, by OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe Duffy's picked 603 and 466. Lately, we've hit 3 or 4 wise guy plays. 2 of those were Juicy Lucy winners. Juicy Lucy means either underdogs of $1.40 or more, or run line, which we get back at least $1.40. A Friday night NFL total, 2 Major League Baseball major plays plus CFL. And it's all at OffshoreInsiders.com. Now let's take a look at your news and notes for tonight's action. And we, of course, are brought to you by MyBookie.ag, in which you will get a 50% sign-up bonus if you mention promo code Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y. As you can see, the New York Jets are -4 and 37 against the Atlanta Falcons. Jets, very interesting quarterback situation. Teddy Bridgewater has looked very impressive in camp after missing most of the last 2 seasons with a knee injury. He, of course, no longer on the Minnesota Vikings, but with the Jets. Josh McCown, who's technically the number 1 quarterback, is not expected to play, but Bridgewater will likely split reps with number 1 draft pick Sam Darnold. Now, obviously, the hope is for the Jets that Darnold will eventually take over the position. You know, I've gone on record as saying I'm not really a big Sam Darnold guy. I think the Jets are going to be very disappointed in this guy. Looks like the second coming of Jay Cutler and Jeff George. The guy just makes too many bad decisions. You know, another Matt Stafford. Now, reports are that he's actually looked pretty good in practice so far, but pretty good in practice and where he's actually going to get hit and be forced into making those bad decisions. That's another story altogether. But there is certainly a big and interesting quarterback battle because McCown is the favorite to be the starting quarterback in Week 1. But how soon will Darnold start? Will Bridgewater, could he maybe, win the starting position at least initially? Very, very interesting quarterback battle, and the public loves quarterback clashes, and this has been a big line move. We'll take a look at the line move and some public betting percentages a little bit later on in this report. Jets are certainly expected to be more committed to the run this year, and that would start tonight. They'll definitely likely keep the ball a little bit more on the ground, although, as we said, they do want to take a look at their quarterbacks as well. Dan Quinn and the Falcons generally haven't taken the regular season all that seriously. They're 0-4 straight up in the preseason this year and last year. And thank you to V. Washington, as it does look like we are getting stuff that is coming through. And Marcus, so looks like tonight, last night we got a few comments, and we can add these to the broadcast. Last night we got a few comments on Periscope, getting some comments tonight on YouTube, and like I said, as far as Facebook, I meant to open that up in another screen on another computer. I got a billion computers here because I think there's just some issues that they're working with on Facebook as far as it coming in on our software, but let's see. I should be able to see the Facebook comments if you do say anything on another screen, but I do want to remind you folks, because it's kind of in beta stage. I am not ignoring anybody out there that sends me a message live. I may or may not be able to see it, but it does look like we are able to see the messages, and thanks to those of you who have already said hi to us on YouTube so far. The Lions and the Raiders, both teams with new coaching staffs. Now again, we take kind of that "we'll report, you decide" approach. a lot of sharps tend to think when you have new coaching staffs and new systems that they're going to tend to be slightly less vanilla than other people, and I think more so the general public likes to think that, well, maybe they're learning complicated systems, and that might be kind of a go against. So it's kind of a we report, you decide. That being said, Matt Patricia, of course, is making his debut as a head coach, where John Gruden is, of course, making his return to the sidelines. Now, again, the general rule of thumb is coaches who are not just coaching in their first game with that team, but in their first game, period, are going to tend to have a little bit more sense of urgency. So if you do believe in that theory, the fact that Matt Patricia is making his head coaching debut, period, rather than just making his debut with a particular team, that would be the advantage to them. And yeah, I do see we're getting more and more comments. I do thank you. I think both games are going over, Mr. Washington says. What do you think? Well, we do have one of them is a premium play. Frank Alexander says, yeah, let's have a better day. Last night we did go 2-4 overall. That is true, but as you can see, our overall record has been tremendous. And that did include one of our Juicy Lucy's, so we didn't lose 2 units. But overall, especially since the 27th of August of last year, been on one of the great runs of all time. So yeah, we have a lot more good days than bad. And even so, still, if you're just looking at short-term, hit 3 of the last 4 Wise Guy plays, with 2 of those being very large underdogs. The Lions and the Raiders, we've been talking about them. As I said, both teams with coaches making coaching debuts, but the general belief is maybe the Lions would show a little bit more sense of urgency. Lions, big contest for their backup quarterback. Obviously, Matt Stafford, I'm not a big fan of him, but he's clearly the starting quarterback. That's not really anything that's in doubt. But Matt Castle and Jake Ruddick are battling for that number 2 spot. Of course, in the case of Matt Castle, he's a guy who I think usually is the type of quarterback that I don't get all that excited about during the preseason, because he's already started 41 games. He knows the only chance of him starting is, of course, because of an injury. So do I necessarily think that he's going to have a big sense of urgency for tonight? I don't think so. And the guy, Ruddick, is a little bit more familiar with the system, but of course, Castle with a lot more experience. Now, with new defensive coordinator Paul Pasqualoni, completely new schemes by Detroit on the defensive side of the ball. And another one of those, I report, you decide. Sharps tend to think that could mean they're going to be slightly less vanilla because they do want to work on those new schemes. But then again, there are a lot of people who believe that's kind of a disadvantage because they're not really familiar with the system. I think that would certainly apply a lot more early in the regular season. And thank you, Frank Alexander. He says he loves Atlanta over, but leaning Oakland under because defense is, the two defensive head coaches. But what you do have to realize is even, that might be more true during the regular season, but coaches tend to try to work on certain weaknesses and areas that they need to address. And that's one of the keys in handicapping preseason football more so. But you're also right that defensive-oriented coaches are the ones who tend, more times than not, to like to keep that defense off of the field and go with a little bit more of a running game. And in fact, it's no secret. It is no secret, and this arguably is more important for the regular season than it is going to be for the preseason. But the Lions are all but certain to have a much more run-oriented team during the regular season. So will they really start trying to establish the run right away in the preseason? That certainly is something for people to consider. But clearly, the run ratio of the Lions during the regular season is going to be much, much higher than it has been in the past. And as far as I'm concerned, Matt Stafford's going to be a better quarterback as a result. I haven't played fantasy football in many, many years, but those of you who like yards are important, he may not have as good as fantasy football statistics, but I think he's going to be a much more efficient quarterback this year. The Lions are very deep in the secondary, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I said last night, I've never been a big live bettor, and I have to be honest with you. I should probably know as far as how common it is to be able to bet on live lines in the preseason at sportsbooks like mybookie.ag. But if you can bet on the live line, keep that in mind that, the depth is so much more important in the in the preseason than it is during the regular season. And the Lions should be very tough to score on even late in the game because they do have a lot of depth in the secondary. The Raiders have the backup quarterback job is also open. Connor Cook has a little bit of a leg up on E.J. Manuel, but E.J. Manuel, another one of these guys who, like I said, he's had his chance as a starter. He's not likely to be a starting quarterback in the NFL again, unless it's, of course, because of an injury. But, he'll be a starting quarterback because the starting quarterback was actually hurt. And maybe, E.J. somewhere along the line, for a bottom feeder, might get a chance to battle for the starting quarterback position again. But I've said so many times, one of the things that squares love to do when they see guys who are battling for the second and third quarterback positions that have a lot of starting experience, people tend to fall in love with that. And that is something that you really should not do because, again, these are guys who don't have the sense of urgency that the teams with the young quarterbacks do. For the young quarterbacks, it's more of like almost a regular season, in some case like a playoff atmosphere. They maybe don't have realistic expectations. They think they could actually win the starting job, where the guys, like the Matt Castles and the lesser extent E.J. Manuel, they know that for the most part they're destined to be backup quarterbacks, and they're a little bit more realistic, and they're just kind of looking for some work. Now, starting quarterback Derek Carr is expected to play 1 or 2 drives. Of course, he is coming. He's a guy who's, when he's healthy, he's been tremendous. Not always healthy, I'd be shocked. Well, he's not going to play more than 2 drives. That's pretty much the lock of the night. Very few coaches do play their starting staff, the starters, more than 2 series. Andy Reid's one of those exceptions to the rule, but I'd be very surprised to see Derek Carr take more than, say, 10 snaps tonight. But, like I said, for those of you who like those quarterback battles, even in the second and third string, you certainly have that here. Again, folks, we're committed to, during the regular season, doing this every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If we do have enough interest, give us some likes and retweets and comments and whatnot. That will help us decide whether we make the time commitment to do it on Saturdays and maybe even some of the weeknights. And again, it's win-win for all of us. MyBookie.ag, if you use the promo code Duffy, that shows your support for this broadcast. And it tells them, look, you want them to sponsor a Saturday broadcast, for example, and you're going to get paid on time. So even if everybody watching this made a mere $100 deposit at mybookie.ag using the promo code Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y, we might be able to get them to say, look, Joe Duffy, we'd love for you to do a live broadcast on Saturdays as well. So thanks to all those who have commented. I do think we are seeing all the comments, and even when I look on my other computer as far as Facebook, don't think I missed anything there. We will be back next week for for Saturday. You know what? I'm going to do a combination broadcast for Saturday. We'll also throw in the baseball free pick. Oh, I didn't give I almost forgot the baseball free pick. I will have that. But in addition to that, we'd like to tell you about the line moves. One significant line move to tell you about for the NFL tonight, really for the reasons we just stated. The public loves betting on teams that have interesting quarterback clashes, which you definitely have on the Jets. We know who they want to be the eventual starter, but who will be the starter in week 1 is definitely open to, it's a wide open race who's going to be the starting quarterback in week 1 and who will eventually be the backup and even the third string quarterback. Public loves that, so no surprise the Jets open up at 1, but they're up to a 4-point favorite. And it looks like, there's a little bit of a discrepancy as far as the percentage of bets and the percentage of money. Only 51% of the bets are on the New York Jets tonight, but 77% of the money, they do like the over in that contest. 70% of the bets and 83% of the money. Where in the Detroit-Oakland game, there's really no clear-cut consensus either way. The public, as they generally do, leaning towards the favorite and the over, both in the number of bets and in the money. Now, your free winner for tonight. Do have a free winning pick, Milwaukee in baseball, and Peralta minus the 108 against Atlanta and Gaussman. Now, we do have an angle that basically says go with hot road teams, but it's not one, the ones that we have as premium plays, they usually go back the entire length of our database. This is something that's been red hot the past couple years, but the reason that we still consider it significant, and I'm definitely tracking it because it's been my theory, and it looks like it is true, where team streaks are becoming more valuable now that the steroid era is behind us. Before the steroid era, team streaks were very, very good gold mines to bet, and it appears that that is returning. So this is not one of our premium plays, but our free pick for tonight is to go with Milwaukee. And as I said, make sure you do visit us at offshoreinsiders.com for the best premium picks. Master Luck Line, which goes back to the Score Phone days. And yeah, thank you, Frank Alexander. Loving our information. We do appreciate that. Thanks for the kind comments. And make sure you do join us. Let's see, like I said, I'm committed during the regular season. Follow us on Twitter. I'll probably do a live broadcast Saturday at noon. So like I said, we're still kind of figuring out about how often we'll do this. 100% committed to doing it NFL Sundays like we did last year at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And we'd definitely like to do it other days depending on what the interest is. But we'll combine the preseason primer broadcast with some free picks for tomorrow. But make sure you follow us at Twitter at Offshore Insider. And that's important to note because of the lack of Nick Day. Thank you. Yes. What's the site? It is offshoreinsiders.com. Offshoreinsiders.com. On Twitter, because of the character limitations, it's just at Offshore Insider, so no S. We wish we could have an extra character to make it slightly less confusing. But yeah, Nick, thanks for that question. Our website, our premium picks are at offshoreinsiders.com, but follow us on Twitter at Offshore Insider without an S. And again, mybookie.ag, love them, been with them for years, sent a lot of people there. I mean, a couple hundred people over the years, and I've even known some people there that are, before MyBookie even existed from other sports books. They're total professionals run it. mybookie.ag, promo code Duffy, show your support for the live information, 50% sign-up bonus, largest in the industry. And thanks everyone for commenting, thanks everyone for joining us. And mark it on your calendars, regular season, every single Sunday morning, including free picks at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money. But then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who saved in 2019.